Well, happy Sunday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. It's the 18th of August here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is a very stormy day here with a training effect of thunderstorm after thunderstorm here today. Hang on to the very end here. Going to be a longer than normal video, but we're going to talk hurricanes, volcanoes, and our fall holiday outlook. Again, we'll key in on several holidays all the way to Christmas. Again, quantifying both the weather and our long-term weather and predicting seasonal sales for the Fortune 500 clients we help. Again, first off, we talked Ernesto, obviously made landfall in Bermuda yesterday as a Cat 1 hurricane. Kind of shocking that they've only had 12 direct hits from hurricanes over the last 174 years. Tiny little island, so to get a direct hit on it is pretty hard. They've been brushed by many, obviously, but take a direct hit. Again, only Cat 1, so they're used to that. Not a ton of impact, about 8.9 inches of rain in Hamilton. They've had a gust about 84 miles an hour. So certainly some impact, flooding probably a bigger impact than the winds. Most of the structures there are much, much stronger than, say, the Bahamas or the Caribbean type structures. So they're more concrete based. So again, we're only about 74 days, I think, into the hurricane season, 78 days actually, and 104 days to go. So we have a lot of hurricane season left. And if we look at some of the stats here, again, we're well above average here in the North Atlantic Basin. Only basin in the world that's actually trending above average right now. So again, we're going to be ground zero here for a lot of tropical activity here. And so we're already up to Ernesto and Kirk, William are on the list. I think we'll burn through this list pretty easily here as we go through the next few months. Looking at the 14-day storm track here, again, you see a lot of systems coming off of Africa. That's what we want to watch. Again, every one of those waves, just like Ernesto, can very quickly become a Cat 2, 3, 4 hurricane. So this is the season. This is the Cape Verde season, and these are typically the bigger type of hurricanes as they traverse across the Atlantic. They just have tons of time to get wrapped up again over that very warm Atlantic Ocean. So again, we'll see. It looks like we had another wave out there here, and probably in a week or so that'll get potentially another name. Looking at drought here, again, we're going to talk La Nina in a bit here, but La Nina is not official yet, but obviously we're seeing some atmospheric response. One thing we're seeing here is obviously the drought from last year in the Corn Belt is completely gone. In East Texas, obviously flooding in Houston, completely gone. But it is expanding to the west again. So this may be a sign of a expanding national drought here as we go into 2025 here. But for sure, the west has been pretty dry, obviously, with the fires. Right now, we're at about 53% of the country in dry to drought phases. So it's inching up. We obviously vaporized that drought in the southeast with the flooding from Debbie here about a week or two ago. Look at severe weather here. Again, we're kind of in the doldrums here of activity. It's just now everything would be based more on landfalling hurricanes, tend to bring some tornadoes. So we'll see here. Tornadoes are obviously still the most in 13 years. So that's the big bucket. We actually projected this last fall for some of our big retail supply insurance type clients. Winds are also up 11% above average, even though they're down from last year. So tornadoes is the only one that's in the top 2% of history. So very, very active. Hail's obviously down and below average. I thought we talked volcanoes real quick because they certainly have some impact on the long-term forecast and how we project the weather trends by week, by mile, everywhere on Earth. Tonga and Pinatubo were two of the biggest ones here in the past 100 years. And Pinatubo was a little different in that it was a northern hemisphere volcano in the Philippines. Pumped up 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide, SO2. SO2, when you pump it that high in the atmosphere, is actually a global cooling gas. So it actually circulated the entire globe, and it created global cooling, if you will, for 2.5 degrees of cooling for a few years, actually. Tonga was very different. It was in a southern hemisphere, and it was an oceanic-based volcano, so it exploded. It pumped up way more, 140 million tons of H2O water vapor. I think that's somewhere around 4 trillion gallons. But HO2 pumped up in the atmosphere is actually global warming. It actually doesn't allow the Earth's radiation to escape into space, and that actually creates a warming effect. So we'll see. There's been at least probably a half degree of global warming, maybe for a few years. Again, all that moisture pumped in the atmosphere is going to take a while. There's some models that say 5-10 years. We'll see. Could be running out of moisture right now. But it's in part why the world's been very, very wet and also very, very warm as of late. Looking at last week here, it wasn't really warm in the U.S. Week ending 17 August here. U.S. was 1 degree cooler than last year. Still 14th warmest the past 39 years. Drier, 26% drier. Maps inset left are the trends versus average. So you can see again, really from the West Coast, Northern Plains, East Coast was actually cool, below average temperatures. Hot in Texas, but again, not the scorching heat we saw back in June. Again, maps inset left are the trends versus average. If we look at this week here, week ending 24 August, again, that cooler trend even expands. 2.7 cooler than last year, coolest in 6 years, 19th warmest in 39 years. So basically in the middle of the pack, making it average for the nation as a whole. Cool West Coast, cool East Coast, Ohio Valley, Midwest. Hot spots there in the Western Plains and the Rocky Mountains. Again, rainfall is pretty sparse here. Heavy rain here today. But again, that'll be pretty much the end of it here this week. Drying out here as we go through the week. So kind of a dry week on a national scale. Look at next week, the last week of full week of August here, 31 August. A little bit warmer, 0.5 warmer than last year, 9th warmest in 39 years, so above average. So we're going to lose some of that cooling that we have in the east and the west. Rainfall up about 6%, the 16th wettest in 39 years, so above average on that front. And the hot 90-degree days, again, kind of an index that we produce, is, again, up about 5% versus last year. Look at the World 2-week aggregate. So just aggregate these trends. So general theme is kind of cooler east, cooler California, even though we still got some fires to contend with. Hot there in the central U.S. Eastern Europe's the hot spot, more towards Spain or actually France is actually more seasonable. Precip trends versus average inset left. And these are just the total rainfall. Again, notice that very heavy rainfall going across Africa, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain with these tropical waves. Again, as those move over to the warm Atlantic Ocean, any one of those can develop. So we could be talking about a barrage of systems here. We do believe it's going to be an intense season, as everyone else does. And again, it's just getting started. Again, we'll end here with some of our Power of 1 Degree technology. Again, how we quantify thousands of seasonal category sales and then predict those sales. If you can predict temp, rain, and snow by week, by mile accurately, as we've done for the past 20 years, you can project these sales. Again, so we project them by store, by warehouse, by anywhere in the world. So again, we call it Power of 1. Again, every degree warmer. In the fall, for example, there's about a 2% increase in jean sales. If it's 10 degrees colder than last year, 20% increase in jean sales. So some volatile categories like electric bedding is 24% increase per degree colder. So huge impacts. If you have a 10 degree colder week than last year, up 240%. Again, we're going to be talking here. The severe weather outlook's not over here, and we projected one of the things we like to do here at Weather Trends is not only quantify the weather a year out, but then quantify the influence specifically on things, right? So again, this was some of our year-ahead projection, the worst severe weather season in 7 years. Again, we've had the floods, we've had the severe weather, we've had the wildfires just starting, hurricanes kind of just starting. So again, when all said and done, we think it's going to be a pretty disastrous year. Columbus Day week, again, so this is a middle October period. We have it warmer, pretty much warmer for the eastern half, cooler for the west. Playing our Power of 1 Degree technology here. So again, thanks for electric blankets. A little early to be buying that stuff in mid-October, but some folks do. So those will be down 36%, heaters down 15%. Batteries, again, the colder it gets, the more batteries fail. And after this hot summer, they will fail a lot this winter, fall, winter. So overall, kind of a down week, unless you're in the Pacific Northwest, where they may actually do better for these seasonal items. If we look at Thanksgiving Day, this is a little tricky here because we have Thanksgiving shift. It's actually very early last year, 23rd, and it's actually very late this year, 28th. So it's while it's 2 degrees cooler, coolest in 6 years for the actual week this year of 24th or 30 November. Again, that's just because it's cooler because it's later. It's a week later. So a little misleading here, but again, the net is again a positive week for Thanksgiving, Black Friday sales for seasonal items. When it's cooler and wetter, it typically is not as favorable for store traffic, so you tend to go online shopping more. But again, a good fall period here. In fact, we have a generally cooler fall. I could say it's going to be well below average, but again, a cooler fall than last year for sure. Christmas, we really do think that December is going to be kind of a very interesting month with cold and even snow across the U.S., which would be a dichotomy of last year. So Christmas week, again, 22 through 28 December, 11 degrees colder than last year. So again, huge sales gains for these seasonal items. So this is good news. You'll be buying the things you need, and you'll be buying them at a higher price because, unfortunately, retailers will, when the weather's good and the sales are strong, they're not going to mark things down as much. So again, overall, strong week. When it's cold and snowy, then the store traffic can get hurt. So this could be a negative for gift sales and those types of items, but you'll tend to do more of that shopping online if the weather is extreme. So again, just a little bit of an idea of how we help big Fortune 500 clients over the past 20 years. So with that, folks, have a great week, and we will be here again this time next week.